Yeah, g'day everyone, and welcome back to the Gold Coast Titans Frontline podcast. Just myself today, Dane here from Clarkey's Rugby League column, and we're usually joined by Russ from Dani Blake, but Russ has some external commitments this week and was unable to make it. So I'm going to get in nice and early on this Sunday night and get this podcast out to you guys so you can listen to it, hopefully on your way to school, work, whatever it is tomorrow. Welcome back wherever you are listening from or watching on YouTube. We've got 3 rounds of footy left in our NRL season. Think everyone's kind of feeling like I am. We're just ready for it to end at this stage. It's been really, really disappointing. And in terms of NRLW, our chances took a big bump in the road in that regards also last round. So it's been a long season. It's been a tough one. And to be honest, it's I was saying to my partner actually earlier today, it's one of those things where I don't get hyped up to come here and record at the moment because I'm so disappointed with how it's transpired that I can't imagine how you guys are feeling, right? Because I have the responsibility to come to you every week and provide a podcast. It's what I signed up for the year and for this season. And so that's my obligation. The listeners right now, you guys don't have any obligation to be here. So the fact you guys are here is almost more, inspiring than anything else, to be honest, because, it's been a tough one. Let's go straight into the Titans news segment, guys. The only news really we need to talk about this week is that Dave Fifita has undergone ankle surgery for a 3rd time. Look, I don't want to kick a man while he's down, and I know you can't help injuries, but I'll just say this. As a Titans fan and staunch supporter of Dave personally, I'm just over it. I'm just over the whole Dave Fifita show. I really am. Maybe I'm a little bit bitter because Dave blocked me on social media earlier this year, or at least removed me from his profile and unfollowed me. I did send Dave a message and I said, "Hey mate, I'm a big, supporter. I feel like I've always had your back. Just wondering why you've done that to me." Not that I was entitled to a response or anything, but for what it's worth, he did see the message and ignore it. So look, maybe I'm a little bit bitter, and I'll give you guys that transparency, and I'll be vulnerable, and I'll let you guys know that has occurred. But I'm just tired of the headlines with Dave. Every year it's a headline, right? And not a headline for the good reason, right? Because Dave Fifita could be either putting out a statement with the club, with his manager, saying how frustrated he is with this ankle surgery and how much he wants success for the Titans and that he's going to do everything he can to have a huge preseason and make sure he gets back and performs for the fans that have supported him through what's been a difficult year. Instead, all we see throughout the newspapers is that reportedly, allegedly, supposedly, doesn't matter. Again, he is in the newspapers being linked to another club, that being the Rabbitohs. Now, there has not been a year since Dave joined us where he hasn't been in the headlines constantly, whether it's been about how much money he's on, whether it's been about signing with the Roosters, whether it's been about wanting out and having release clauses with Tino. The list just goes on and on and on. And there hasn't been a year with us that he's consistently shown that drive and competitive spirit. Whereas for Tino, whilst he has been in the headlines, you can always see that he cares and that he's giving his best. Dave has all the talent in the world. He's only given his best in one game I can think of this year against the Dragons. For me, I can't defend this anymore, guys. It is a Dave Taylor 2.0 signing for us, where if you want to remember the brilliant highlight reels and the flashy stats, you can choose to do that. But as far as I'm concerned, we need to have a ruthless edge as a club and just move him on. Well, I'm sorry, Dave. It just hasn't worked out. The fact that, again, we are seeing in the newspapers that a third party is reportedly contacting another club for you to join them, whilst all us Titans fans want is for you to have a successful recovery, get back out there and represent us to the best of your ability. Whether you have told this person who's a third party or not to go and contact it, and whether it ends up being all lies and innuendo and rubbish. Why are the reports that are flying around, Dave? Why have you not shown the respect to us fans who have always supported you whilst you've been on an extremely large contract with us, whether you've been out of form, whether you've been injured? Us fans have always shown you that respect and always supported you. And if these reports are false, you haven't even had the decency to come out with the club and knock it on the head and say, absolutely fake. I love the Titans. I'm so sorry this year hasn't worked out, guys. I can't help injuries, but what I can promise you is I'll put in next preseason, and I can't wait to be back out there and hopefully bring success to the Gold Coast. We'll never get that sort of statement from Dave. He's never had a care about this club. He signed with the club because we simply offered him way more money than the Broncos did. And ultimately, I believe he stayed with the club because he realized that if he goes to the Sydney Roosters, it is going to be a much tougher season. It's going to be in the Sydney spotlight of their media, which is much more harsh and offers a lot more criticism than the Queensland media does. You know, you can kind of escape when the only company covering you is the Gold Coast Bulletin. He didn't sign for us originally with the right intent. He didn't, backflip for the right intentions either. He's in the headlines again for the wrong reason. Hopefully the ankle surgery goes well, Dave, and hopefully you can find a new club, because I'm just tired of putting my neck on the line. I'm tired of me personally copying a lot of stuff online for trying to support you when you just don't have that respect for us as fans. So if you guys think I'm being a little bit too harsh there, or I've taken something, personally or too hard, let me know, please. But that's just where I'm at with Dave. Best of luck in recovery, Dave, and hopefully see you later. Game review time, guys. NRLW, our Titans are defeated by the Sharks, 12 points to 8. My initial observation in this one was we just had no spark in attack without Jamie Chapman. We were really poor. No one looked threatening at all. Without Chapman, we had opportunity and we were camped down on their own end, but we just had nothing. I don't even know how to explain it, guys. I'm trying to think of the right word to describe how poor we were. We had nothing. We simply passed it one out from hooker, and we went left to right with zero shape, zero hole runners. And so without Chapman, I have to admit, we looked extremely lost in attack there. Our fifth tackle options as well, extremely poor. Lauren Brown, that's usually a really strong part of her game. It is her kicking game, whether it's field goals, grubbers, bombs. She's usually a very, very strong kicker for us, and, really gives that great end to the set. But there was no accuracy in her kicks. It was, kick the ball as hard as you can and hope for the best. Whereas what we needed to have was just some composure, because the Sharks had so many errors that we should have absolutely beaten them in this game. But we didn't build pressure. And we didn't capitalize. Instead of trying to score every set, and if it's not working without our X factor and Jamie Chapman there, our halves needed to recognize that. And instead of trying to score every single set, just build pressure. Look for repeat sets. Make them defend on their try line. Make sure we're completing sets. Instead, we kind of dropped down to that level and played just as poor as them. And so we go to halftime and it's 0-0. And if you didn't watch this game, I can promise you it was not the defensive factor. There was not a moment in this game where I said, God, both sides are so strong defensively. This is an absolute classic 0-0. Both sides were poor. Now, ultimately, it takes a sin bin from the Sharks for us to open up. And they did lose their best player, Kiwi center Anessa Biddle, to injury. So they go down to 12 and we score. Whilst they still have someone in the bin, their fullback runs over our 5'8", and I believe it was Talia Fuimayano, and there was a really poor defensive effort also from Leilani Montgomery at fullback. It was a simple run over, completely unacceptable, particularly while they're down a player. That's the game there. In a game that had, not much going for it, if you're going to concede a try that softly, that's the game there. Now, we were able to level the scores up regardless from a Leica Clark moment. Good gamesmanship. Yeah, there was pressure on the neck. I don't think it was intentional, and I hate to see our players lie down and milk a penalty like she did there. So all things considered, we missed way too many opportunities in this game. We absolutely lacked the class of an NRLW side, and we deserve to lose. That's just the plain, cold, hard, honest truth. And I suspect if you're still listening to this podcast, and that probably shouldn't reveal this, but there has been a significant drop-off in numbers. We started the year really strong when we were winning. Now, if you're listening to this, it shows how much of a diehard fan you are. But I suspect you're at the stage where you don't want to hear me say that we've showed some good improvements. It's been a long year. Game review, NRL time. We lose to the Sharks, 54 points to 22. And you know what? Pitiful. Really pitiful. I feel like I'm so negative this episode, and because it's only me, nothing else is breaking up the monotony of that negative energy that I'm putting out. But Look, the first set of the game, guys, they go 90 meters. Now, there's no intent there. There's no physicality. And they score off their third set. That just sucks really bad. It does. I know the Sharks are a way better side than us, but it just sucks really bad. Now, despite all of that in the first half, we do manage to fight back. We score 3 quick tries and we take the lead. But here comes the pat on the back mentality for the Titans. Well, we've done really well. They scored super early and, we've made a bit of a comeback here. This is good. Close enough's good enough, isn't it? And we immediately lose that intent and physicality. And what do you know? The Sharks get straight back into the contest. The fact we led this game at any stage in hindsight is absolutely crazy, guys. Now, I don't know what's going on here because we are either insanely inferior to the rest of the competition in our preparation and our technique and game plan, or our mindset is so far behind where a professional athletes, team of athletes needs to be that I don't know what can save us and I don't know what can fix us. Now, what's the answer between all that, guys? Do you think it's our preparation technique? I don't know because we've had so many coaches, right? And we've tried different game plans, we've played different styles over the year at the Coast, and nothing's really stuck. And you think in that time as well, like our mindset issues would have been worked out, whether that's through professional, I'm not sure if you'd call it consultancy or like professional aid. Because I just feel that the same team that's had that effort for the past 4 weeks turns up here, we're at least a small chance. And I can tell you guys this, we're not conceding 54. Whether you guys believe we're a genuine chance or not, look, that's up for debate. Yeah, I'll hear either side of that equation for sure. But we shouldn't be conceding 54. Our attitude was just completely different. And it's like we didn't forget how to play footy. We didn't meet a Shark side that's in such great form. We were always going to be in trouble. And at one stage, we were down 18 points. And I'm watching on the couch and I'm still believing and I'm still hoping for that fight because I just want to really avoid the wooden spoon this year. My expectations are so low. I just don't want to come last again, guys. That's all I want. And so I start individual player watching. And there was just no energy or fight. Like 18 points down, guys, the wooden spoon is on the line here. And instead of everyone showing urgency and fight and desire and wanting to desperately give it their all to avoid this wooden spoon, it kind of felt like the players were just waiting around for someone else to do it. Oh, that's a tough run. I won't take it. I'll let someone else take it. And it just made me ask the question. Like, I know I'm wrong to ask this, guys, but it genuinely felt this week that the players didn't care. Look, I understand it's a job for them and it's a very high-paid job, and I don't begrudge them for that because to make the NRL is such an insane accomplishment. And, I can stop working tomorrow and go to university and become a doctor in, just over 4 years. Doesn't work like that with the NRL. You've got to make those sacrifices young, where you're not, and those sacrifices continue on, right? Where you can't go out and party every weekend. You can't have Maccas because you feel like it on Tuesday night. And so I'm not begrudging the players here, but it just feels like they're just too comfortable. Like the Gold Coast is an awesome place to live. It's a job. It's a high-paying job. They're with their friends. But at the end of the day, like us fans, are we entitled to something better? Arguably not. Players don't owe us anything, right? They didn't make us go for this team. They didn't tell us we have to support them. We choose to do that. But like we do put our hard-earned money into this, right? And more than money, we put in our emotional investment. So I feel like we are owed something as fans. I don't want to come off as too entitled there, guys. If I am, let me know. But it just felt like there was no care or urgency from this team. And that's honestly the hardest part to take. Not the point we conceded 54, not the part we're dead last. It just didn't seem like the players cared very much. And that really hurt me because I know you guys, if you're listening right now, I know you care. And you guys, hopefully, you know that I care as well. We all want this team to be successful. I don't want to be on this podcast on a Sunday night, just put my kids to bed and I'm coming on here in a bad mood and all negative. And you guys don't want to listen to that either. So the fact that, it felt like we cared a little bit more than the players, that did really hurt me. It was just disappointing. I don't really know how else to describe it, guys. It's just like it's so hard to explain because just every other team, like they have moments and like it's like when's it going to be our turn? When with all the effort we've put in as fans over the years, like, when are we just going to have, like, what? The bar is so low for us, guys. We just don't want to get the wooden spoon. You know what I mean, guys? We're the only side mathematically coming into this round that couldn't make finals anymore. Even the Knights could still play finals, guys. I know they got pumped by the Cowboys this round, but like even they could have played finals. We're the only side in a professional comp that statistically, no matter what happens, even if like the most wild results happened and teams won and lost by hundreds, we still can't play finals. So like the bar is just so low. Like, can we just not get the wooden spoon? And I'm sitting there on the couch while we're down by 18, and I'm like, come on, boys, please lift. Please show some fight. And there's just none. It's just so hard to take, and it's so hard to then record a podcast and explain how I'm feeling, and I suspect how a lot of people are feeling without just being negative. I'm not a negative person, but it's just really hard to drag any positives out of the last few weeks, I would say, besides the Warriors win, of course. So in line with that, guys, look, 3-2-1s wise, I'm not going to bother. You guys don't want to hear it. Who cares? I jump on and go 3 points. AJ Brimson. He had a lot of effort. And you guys go, yeah, well, we still conceded 50. Like, it's NRLW is the same. We shouldn't have lost that game. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. Affiliates recap time, guys. Tweed were on the bye last round. However, the Jets did defeat the Western Clydesdales 32 points to 12. In some positive signs for our club, Alan Fitzgibbon had a hat trick on the wing there, and Carter Gordon made his return at 5'8" and had some really classy touches. So we might get to see Alan back in the NRL this week, or we might get to see Gordon make his long-awaited NRL debut, which, fingers crossed, can breathe a bit of life. Not into our season, but into avoiding the wooden spoon. Alrighty, guys, game preview time. NRLW, we've got the Dragons this week, and the Dragons did lose last round to the Tigers. Just like us, the Dragons only have 2 wins so far this year. And when we talk about winnable matchups for our NRLW side, and you can frame that as a winnable match or a must-win, it's the Dragons, Tigers, and Raiders. The latter is so close this year, and with 6 teams going through, we need to win these games like this one this round against the Dragons to at least hold some ladder position until we hopefully get Jamie Chapman back and adds that spark that we were missing. Now, we did beat them last year in our only meeting with them by 8 points. They have beaten the Bulldogs by 4 this round, who we did draw with. So when you look at it from that angle, it's certainly a winnable game. Even last round, guys, the Tigers had 61% completion, and they beat the Dragons. Now, let me go a little bit deeper onto that Tigers win here, right? Because if we lose this game, it's season over. Let me repeat that again, guys. The Tigers beat the Dragons with a 61% completion rate. And a big and, they missed 43 tackles and had 20 ineffective tackles. That is 63 times in a 70-minute contest where they missed the tackle or made a poor tackle. And they still beat the Dragons. They defended against the Dragons for 29 minutes, which means they averaged 2.2 poor or missed tackles per minute of defense. And they still beat the Dragons. If we do not win this game, guys, it is season over stuff. Don't at me. Telling you guys right now. We don't win this game after a team just beat them with a 61% completion rate and they missed 63 tackles against them. Our NRLW season is so far over, it's not funny. Now, the only area of concern for the Dragons against the Tigers this round was them coming up with 14 offloads. Lucky for us, we have the best defender in the game in Georgia Hale. So we need to wrap that ball up, get our fundamentals correct, and realistically, we should not be losing this game. This is a must-win, and it is simple as that, guys. When you break this one down, we should be winning in the NRLW. Alrighty, game preview time for the NRL. This week we have the Warriors, and I suppose my question is, could history repeat itself? Because last year we lost to the Rabbitohs and the Tigers back-to-back to take last place, and then we beat the Warriors with our highest ever score. We won 66 points to 6. Now, for some reason, we're just their bogey side, where they cannot get a win over us. You know, we beat them this year in New Zealand. We beat them last year in New Zealand to get our first win. And then we beat them 66-6 at home the last time we played them. And when you look at this Warriors side, you know, you go back the last 4 or 5 weeks, they have not looked good. They should have lost to the Knights, without a doubt. They won last round against a Dragons team that lost 3 forwards and had 1 winger on the bench. So I'm not suggesting we should be winning this game because that's ludicrous with our current form. But I would like to think we're competitive. And if we can get a win and, you know, potentially look to start avoiding that spoon, then Lord, please hear my prayers. Tanner Boyd's at 7 again, so we do have a chance to exploit him like I felt we did the last time he got dropped after his game against us, I believe. This time they don't have that luxury because Tamari Martin is likely out again. So I think Tanner will be at 7 again for them. Hopefully we can exploit him in some areas, put pressure on his kicking game, you know, get in his face early, run our forwards at him, all those simple things. And look, this is a kind of must-win situation for the Warriors if they want to remain or at least get into the top 4. And surely they know what to expect from us right now, given our last 3 meetings. We've shocked them twice over in New Zealand and beat them with our biggest ever score at home. Is that sustainable? Because really, that's our only factor going in. If you guys believe we're genuinely their bogey side and they just can't beat us, then you should feel confident. Is there mental scars there for the Warriors? That's another question that they need to answer. They looked really poor last round against the Dragons, and I know they got the win, but in my mind, it was just the injuries that the Dragons had that allowed that. We do average the same amount of points scored this year as the Warriors do, but we are coming off conceding 50. So defense needs to be our focus, as I feel it should always be with the Titans. If we can get our defense right, we're always a chance because attack just comes so naturally for us. Panthers second half at home, for example, right? We got the defense horribly wrong in the first half, but then we improved that in the second half and we give ourselves a genuine shot in a game we ultimately did lose, but like, you know, we gave ourselves a great chance. So I don't expect us to win, but there could be some mental scars here for the Warriors where like they're genuinely wondering, how do we get over this Titans side? Let's just get our defense right, boys. If we can keep them around the 20-point mark, I think we can score more points than that. I really believe we can. So let's try to get our defense right this week. Fingers crossed we can get a win. Look, it's somewhat of an optimistic week coming up, guys. I think we can beat the Dragons, and I'm not convinced we can beat the Warriors, but certainly we've set a good precedent if the last 3 games are anything to go off. So I know it's really hard to tell you guys to get up, get excited, and get behind both of our teams just based on last week and for the NRL side, the season as a whole, but please do. We're a chance in both. We're a good chance in both. So with that, I will say thank you, and I will see you guys next week with Russ back on the program to break down both of those games, preview the next ones, and talk all things Gold Coast Titans with you all once again. So thank you very much for your time, guys. I really appreciate it, and I do really apologize for this one. Again, had a negative theme to it, guys. It's not the sort of person I am. It's not the person I want to be, but sometimes you just gotta let it out. And I had to let it out. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. I'll see you next week. Cheers.